Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Gurunath. Yes, I can hear you.
Super. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Now, as we discussed, yesterday,
Yeah.
now today we were going to discuss the architecture of the Salesforce. Today I'm going to discuss architecture of the Salesforce. We'll join a bit early tomorrow by 6:30, and then we will run the session till 8:30
Sure.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, when we are talking about the architecture of the Salesforce, the architecture of the Salesforce is MVC architecture. I hope no you got a recording option. Just click on that record this meeting.
Yeah, I did already.
Thank you. MVC architecture. There is a model view controller. Model view controller. Now, what is that model view controller? See here, this is view part. This is a view part. Controller part. Then we have a model part. This is view part, controller part, and we have a model part. So in Salesforce, how we will build the view? In Salesforce, how we will build the view? In Salesforce, view can be developed, view can be implemented by using tab through page layouts, Then we have a visual force. Then we have a lightning. Using these three things, we will provide the view. Now, in Salesforce, controllers can be implemented by using Apex programming language. In Salesforce, controllers can be implemented by using Apex programming language. Now, here, when we are talking about the model, model is nothing but schema and schema. What is schema? As objects, fields, and all those comes under model. As objects, fields, and all those comes under model. So to transfer the information from controller to the model, we will use the DML statements. For fetching the to fetch the information from model, or if you want to transfer that information to the controller, we'll make use of the SQL or social statements. DML stands for data manipulation language, like
Okay.
insert, update, observe, delete, and delete. All these statements comes under DML statements. Now, when we are talking about the SQL, which is quite similar look like our SQL queries, like Salesforce object query language or Salesforce object search language. Now we'll see all these DML statements and SQL social statements when we are working with the development. Now, generally, our journey will start it from model part. I'll give the simple example with a real-time scenario how MVC architecture will work. Now, for example, you have the personal banking account. Now, what we will do? Suppose I want to check last month transaction history. I want to check last month transaction history. What I'll go, what I will do, I'll get into my personal account and I'll click on Son's link payment history. Immediately, the moment when we click on that payment history link, we'll have options like, we'll have a columns like start date. Please enter the start date, and then we will select the end date. Then finally, we'll click on one button called go button, right?
Yeah.
Basically, this will happen in any forms, or this information we will find in most of the forms. Now start date, then we will select the end date, then we'll click on submit button. We'll select the start date, we'll select the end date, then we'll click on submit button. The moment when we click on the submit button, that means whatever we were selecting the start date, whatever we were selecting the start date and end date and clicking on submit button, all this comes under view part. Okay,
Yeah.
so all this comes under view part. When we click on the submit button, this page, see whatever this is comes under view. This page associated controller will comes into the picture. This page associated controller will be invoked. Page associated controller will be invoked, and internally which will call the database, or any one of the table, this transaction history related table, and will fetch the query by selecting or by picking up the start date and end date as the parameter. Based upon that start date and end date, we will query the data from transaction history table, and that queried information again will be passed to the controller. Through controller, it will be passed to the view part. Listen carefully. Whatever we were selecting here, start date and end date comes into the view part. The moment when we click on submit button, this page associated or view associated controller will get executed. The controller will take these two parameters and will search in model. We'll go to the model. Internally, controller will get connect with model and will search in transaction history table. Do we have any transaction with these specified filter criteria like start date and end date? If we have the records or information or any rows of table, that information can be fetched from database and will be passed to the controller. So using this query, we will fetch, and again that will be passed to the view part. This is how we know MVC architecture will works. Okay, that is a one way. For example, let's say you have a Naukri account, which is a job portal, right?
Yeah.
I'll get into Naukri and I want to register. So when we click on that register, the moment when we click on that button, one form will be open. Whatever we were seeing, that form that comes under view part, we will supply the information or we will provide the information. When we click on that submit button, this view associated controller will comes into the picture, or controller will be invoked, and which will create the record in so and so table, candidate table. That is the DML operation. We were performing, we were creating the profile. That means we were inserting one record into so-and-so candidate table. Is it clear?
Yeah. So
Any questions?
first of all, whatever we
Because
do, it starts from controller. From controller, it goes to view.
no, whatever we were doing, everything comes under view part.
Okay.
See, where we select the start date and end date and submit button, where we will do all this.
From
Without seeing all these things on UI part, user interface or view part, how we can interact with the controller and database?
yeah, first we have to connect to UI. Yes. On view part, we give the start date or end date, or else we fill up the registration form,
Mm-hmm.
and then it will take us to controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And controller it will.
తెలుగులో చెప్తున్నా తెలుగులో చెప్పనా
Yeah, yeah.
ప్లీజ్. ఎందుకంటే ఇది అర్థం కాకపోతే మిగతాది అర్థం కాదు.
Okay.
సో ఏంటంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ నువ్వు వెళ్తున్నావు మచ్చి ఐఆర్సిటిసి ట్రైన్లో యూ వాంట్ బుక్ వన్ ట్రైన్ టికెట్.
Hmm.
ఐఆర్సిటిసి పోర్టల్లో లాగిన్ అవుతావు. లాగిన్ అవ్వగానే నువ్వు ట్రైన్స్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ సర్చ్ ఫర్ ట్రైన్స్ అంటావు. వాంట్ టు ఫైండ్ ద ట్రైన్ అని ఒకటి ఉంటుంది. విల్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ దట్ లింక్. What will happen? It would be redirect to one form wherein which will have the source station and destination station, right?
Yes.
We'll click on go button. We'll select this, we'll pick up the store, source station, and we'll pick up the destination station. Once you pick up the source and destination, we'll click on go button. See, whatever you are picking up, source and destination, that comes under viewport.
Yes.
When we click on that go button, that view associated controller will get executed. I
Yes.
mean, you are performing one action. You are clicking button clicking action. I mean, you are performing button clicking action. So when you click on that button, that form associated, the page associated controller will be executed.
Yes.
Okay, that controller, that controller interact with the database. There is a one table inside my model, like
Yes.
trains information.
Yes.
Based upon that source and destination, my controller will pick up the trains information from trains information table. Then using that query, we will pick up that information from trains table, and that will be passed to the viewport. Again, we will display, right, list of trains. For example, let's say
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
got it. Here we will have one table in below section. We'll have the list of trains information kind of, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That is what MVC architecture.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Our
So
journey will start. Yes.
once
Yes,
we
please.
fill up the form and once we hit the submit button, so this controller will get executed, right? So
Yes.
and then it will connect to the model database from where
Mm-hmm.
it will fetch the data and it will display in the view part again. So
Exactly.
yeah, but the action what controller perform, so that action
Mm-hmm.
is performed in Apex or it has
Exactly.
a
Apex.
Apex. So the okay, so the controller will get executed and it perform its action in Apex coding.
Mm-hmm.
What about DML statements? You said
That comes under development part. This Apex comes under
development.
development part. Apex DML colon stage colon social statements. See here, basically what we will do is, suppose if you want to create the through any one of the tab. You no need to write any Apex controller or DML statement or SQL statements.
Yeah.
Salesforce by default, suppose let's say you have created one employee table, and if you want to create the record into that table, we will create one tab. Just remember for a second, for a moment, you
Okay.
know, we'll create the tab and we'll click on the tab and we'll supply the information. And when we click on the save button on tab, automatically that record will be created inside model table, like,
Yes.
employee table.
Yes.
You no need to write the controller for that.
Okay.
You're creating the record through tab, you no need to write that. But when we are talking about the visual force and lightning, make sure you have to write the controller.
Okay.
Okay, you will get the clarity.
Okay.
Now our journey will start it from model. So first what we have to do, remember, in any company, irrespective of the technology, irrespective of the application industry, I mean domain, first we have to design the database. That is where skills assessed. If you know how to design the objects, sorry, tables, then the rest of the things are fetching the information and inserting the information only. Remember that. If you know how we will design the tables, the rest of the things are fetching and inserting the information into that particular tables. So what we were going to see is, first we will discuss what is the vocabulary of Salesforce. Okay, we will see what is the vocabulary of Salesforce. That means what kind of terminology we were going to use in order to perform the operations in Salesforce. Vocabulary of Salesforce. So please tell me, what is the vocabulary of Salesforce? Anyway, I'll tell you. When we are talking about the vocabulary of Salesforce, that means terminology that what we were going to use. App, tab, as object, or we will call it as a table. I hope you know Oracle table,
Yes.
field, or column. Now, data record. Tab is subject, field, data, and record. Now tell me, what is application, what is tab, what is a subject, what is field, what is data, and what is record. See, why I am writing table here is, as per our convenience, I'm writing as a table for understanding purpose. Generally, we will not call it as a table in Salesforce. We will call it as a subject. Okay.
Okay.
Now first I'll start it from application. When we are talking about the application is nothing but a set of services. Application is nothing but a set of services. Basically, what we will get from application, we will get the services from, I mean, different kind of services from application. For example, let's say if I take the IRCTC application, if you want to book the ticket, uh, if we want to book the ticket, I'm getting some echo.
Oh.
If 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 we want to book the ticket, we'll go to the IRCTC site and we'll book the ticket by sitting home. Suppose you were traveling to a new place, you don't have any awareness, want to book the hotel, you want to order the food, or you want to book the cab. See, we were getting the multiple services from application. So what I'm going to say is, Application is nothing but a set of services which will be provided to the customer, which will be provided to the customer. Basically, in Salesforce, we have two different types of application. One is the standard application. Another one is another one is
Platform.
no, custom application.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
One is the standard application, and another one is the
System.
custom application. Basically, we have two different types of applications. One is the standard application, and another one is the custom application. Standard application in the sense application which was already created by the
Yes.
Salesforce. Application which was already created by the Salesforce. Now, when we are talking about the custom application, already created in the sense as part of a standard functionality. See, when we purchase the Salesforce license, Salesforce will provide the or will give the sales application, service application or call center application, charter application, lead management, campaign management, marketing management. All these applications will be given as a default applications. So generally we will prefer or we will call it as a standard applications. Clear?
Yes.
Now, whatever the Salesforce provided functionality, or else we'll call it as a standard applications, are not satisfying our requirement or what client has requirement. That requirement was not satisfied by the or is not satisfied by the standard application, then obviously we will go for creating our own applications. Generally, we will call it as a custom applications.
Yes.
Whatever Salesforce provided is not satisfying your requirement, then we will go for creating our own application, which will be called as a custom applications. Clear? Now we will see how we will work with the standard applications and how we will work with the custom applications in a next session. Now, first we have to know on high level what all things and how these things will work out. Just park it aside for a couple of minutes. First, tell me what is this object? What is table? Do you know Oracle employee table?
Oracle. Yeah, yeah.
You know table, right? What is
Yeah.
table?
So rows and column.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which will be created on database level.
Yes.
Clear? See, this is my table. What table will have?
Rows and
Table
column.
will have the rows and columns. So this is one column I have, and this is one column. I mean, this is another column I have. I'll give for this column, I'll give the, let's say, first name. Let us assume this is an employee table. First name, we'll have a first name, and we'll have a last name, and here we'll have a designation or department. Now, what we will have? We'll
Records.
have a rows.
Yeah.
Yes, good. So, for example, let's say Gurunath. Here I have a Jinka. Then here I have a designation TM. Okay. Now, whatever we were calling it as table in terms of Oracle, same thing can be called as a S object. Okay. This can be whatever we were talking about this shit. This will be considered as a
field,
exactly. Now this is a
record.
no. This is data. This entire row will be considered as a
Okay.
record. Is it clear now?
Yes.
So whatever we were calling it as a table in terms of Oracle, a same thing can be termed as a S object. Here we will call it as a S object. Instead of calling it as a table, we will call it as a S object. S object is nothing but a name given to the database. Listen carefully. A name given to the database where we will store the information. Name given to the database where we will store the information. I mean, this table related information can be stored inside that particular space, database space. Now, in Salesforce, all technical features are designed and defined based upon the S object only. In Salesforce, all technical features are designed and defined based upon the S object only. All technical features are designed and defined based upon S object only. That is the reason why S object will be considered as a key pillar to the Salesforce organization. S object will be considered as a key pillar for Salesforce organization. Now, generally we have two different types of S object. Standard S objects and we have custom S objects. So whatever the Salesforce provided functionality, that is a standard application functionality, was divided into multiple tables. Multiple tables. So generally we will call it as a standard tables or standard S objects. Okay, that functionality was divided into S objects. Generally we will call it as a standard S objects. Now whatever the Salesforce provided standard functionality is not satisfying your requirement, obviously we'll go for creating our own S object, which will be called as a custom S objects. Clear?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you following me?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Now we will see in the next class how we will create the application and how we will create the S objects. So whatever we were calling it as a column in terms of Oracle, a same thing can be referred as a field. Field. Remember this terminology.
Yes.
Whatever we were discussing in coming sessions, everything will be, I mean, my terminology, my speaking, my total speaking related to these terminology only.
Okay.
Okay. Instead of calling it as a column, we'll call it as a field. So, which is a property or a characteristic of S object, which is a property or a characteristic of S object. Now, one table can have the multiple fields. One table can have the multiple
Field.
fields. In each and every S object, whether it is a standard S object or custom S object, will have the four standard columns or standard fields. One is a created by, lost modified by, owner, and name. So who created this record, who modified this record, and who is the owner for that record, and what is the name of that record? These are the four standard columns which will be available in all S objects. whether it is a standard S object and whether it's, I mean, it could be a standard S object or it could be a custom S object. It doesn't matter. We'll have these four standard columns. Generally, we will consider these four columns as a who columns or who fields.
What is that? What fields?
Who who columns.
Okay.
In Oracle, we'll call it as a who column, but we will not call it as a who columns here. Generally, we'll call it as a standard fields.
Okay.
These are the standard
And
columns.
the last one you said name, right? Is
Yes.
that mandatory? That is the mandatory field in every object, or?
Yes. These four fields are the mandatory fields. I mean, basically, these three things will be filled by the system.
Yeah.
Information related to these three fields will be filled by the system. But related to name, we will provide the information. In some scenarios, this name can be the auto number. That I will discuss.
Okay.
What is the scenario? Okay.
Yes.
Now, you know what is the data? A value which is associated to a particular column is called as a data. Value which is associated to a particular column is called as a data.
Yeah.
Okay. This entire row will be considered as a record. This entire row will be considered as a record. Clear up to here?
Yeah. Clear.
Now, as a user, as a developer or a customer, we don't have a direct interaction with the database. As a developer or a customer, we don't have a direct interaction with the database. That means make sure you have to create the tabs. By using tab only, we can create the records or we will see existing information inside table or a object. Listen carefully.
Okay.
Using tab, we will create the records into a particular S object. For example, we have an employee table and I will create the tab for the employee table. I'll create the tab for employee table. By using that employee table or employee tab, using that employee tab, I'll create the records inside employee table or employee is object. Or I would be able to see existing information. I mean, do we have any information inside our employee table or S object? That information can be viewed by using tab. I mean, you can perform two activities. We will perform two activities. One is,
Either viewing the existing records or
yes,
creating
creating
the.
the records, or you can update, or you can delete. You can
Okay.
modify the existing information, or you can delete the information. By using this tab, we will see all this. Again, we have a standard tabs, custom object tabs, we have a lightning tabs, we have a visual force tabs, we have a lightning component tab or lightning page tabs, of web tabs. We have a different types of tabs.
Okay.
I hope it's pretty clear now, right?
Yes.
Now, what is the navigation for creating the custom application, or how we will access the applications? So remember, this navigation is very, very important. If someone will ask you how to create the application, you have to see the navigation, as much as faster. That way we will save the time. So setup, build, create, new, custom application. Just click on new custom application that beside custom application, just click on new. Okay,
Okay.
now this way we will create the application. Now we have a multiple tabs like standard tabs, custom tabs, web tabs, Salesforce, first page tab, liking tabs. We have a multiple tabs. Clear?
Yes.
Now, what is the navigation for creating the tab? Setup, build, create, tab, then click on new, custom object tab, or it could be a web tab or visual force tab or lighting tab.
Okay.
Now this way we will create. When we'll click on create new, automatically when we click on tab, all these five will be displayed.
Okay.
Now what is the navigation for creating S objects? When we are talking about the navigation for S objects, setup, build, create objects, then new, custom object. Listen carefully, one statement here. Without having the S object, you cannot create the custom object tab. Without having the custom object, we will not have the, we cannot create the tab for that particular object. See, what is the purpose of tab? We will provide either we will provide the information or we will see the existing information.
Yes.
Without having the S object, how we can
No use of
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Then for creating,
So
yes,
so
yes,
this is creating an S object, right? No, S object means a table actually.
exactly.
So while creating S objects, we create fields, and by using tabs, we enter records in that field for those.
By using S object, we will create the table. Inside that S object, we will create the fields, and by using tab, we will provide the information into that particular S object.
Okay. So nowhere in Salesforce we call just object. We all the time we have to call S objects only, not just objects.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Setup, build, create objects. Then we'll go with these.
So here we are calling only objects, right? Setup, build,
Yes.
create only objects, or
While, while while at the time of following navigation, we
we
would
only
be
see.
able to see only objects,
Okay.
but basically we'll call it as a S object,
Okay.
Salesforce object.
Yeah.
Okay. Select the desired S object. In which field, which S object you are going to create the field. Select that S object and scroll down to detailed page of that particular S object. Suppose I have a one employee table and I'll pick that employee table. Automatically, the detailed page of the employee will be displayed. Object detailed page. Then we'll have the one section called custom fields and relationships.
So
We'll
here
have
the
the one.
yeah, For this, for creating a field, what is the navigation setup? Build, create objects or fields?
Objects,
Okay,
where you will create the fields.
inside the object.
So first you have to select that as object now.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what I have, I'm doing here.
Okay.
Then we will click on new custom fields. Clear?
Yeah. Clear.
This is what the navigation. Remember this.
Okay.
Just by head this before coming to the next class.
Yeah. And
We'll connect tomorrow a bit early at 6:30 or 7 o'clock. We'll have the 1.5 hour session at
sure.
least.
Yeah. And
We'll see tomorrow. Yeah, thanks.
and what is the difference between all these tabs? The regular, custom tab, web tab.
That we were going to see.
Yeah.
See, basically how we will build the view by using tab, lightning pages, and visual force pages, right?
Yes.
So what I will do is I'll create the one visual force page, and for that page I'll create the tab. We will
Okay.
call it as a visual force tab.
Okay.
We'll create lightning component. For that component, we'll create the one tab. Generally, we'll call it as a lightning tab.
Oh. Okay.
We will specify some web address while at the time of creating the web tab. And when we click on that tab, automatically it would be redirected to that particular web address. We'll call it as a web tab.
Okay.
The name itself will tell us.
Okay. Yes.
Clear?
Yeah.
No doubts, right?
Yeah. No doubts.
Chala. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll connect tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
You are following me, right?
Yes, I am. I'm following. Yeah.
ఎంత ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ వేరే దగ్గర దొరకదులే మచ్చి.
Okay.
సో దట్స్ ద రీజన్ వై నేను ఏం చెప్పానంటే నేను చెప్పింది నువ్వు ఫాలో కాదు ఆలు.
Okay.
కాకపోతే నువ్వు ప్రాక్టీస్ ఓన్గా చేస్తూ
Sure. అంటే
కొంచెం